Today's broadcast of the MHSAA Finals is made possible by Farm Bureau Insurance, sponsor of the MHSAA Scholar Athlete Award. True Value Hardware, promoting good sportsmanship through the Good Sports Are Winners program. Elias Brothers Big Boy. And Health Alliance Plan.
From the Pontiac Silverdome, the Michigan High School Athletic Association presents the Class C championship game in the 1992 football playoffs between the Gladiators of Traverse City St. Francis and the Lancers of Harper Woods Bishop Gallagher. Hi, everybody. Along with Rob Rubick, I'm Gary Ratsky. What promises to be an exciting game between the Lancers and the Gladiators because of the fact that both teams are really in new situations. The first ever playoff appearance for Harper Woods Bishop Gallagher. Well, St. Francis hasn't been in the finals since 1983. Both teams are hungry for a championship, Rob.
Yeah, I think we're going to see kind of a contrast here. Bishop Gallagher depends on their great speed and their overall quickness. And Traverse City, talking to Coach Sellers, is looking for his team's toughness and determination to pull them through.
The 11-1 Bishop Gallagher Lancers and the perfect 12-0 St. Francis Gladiators out of Traverse City. Stay with us. We'll have the opening kickoff in a moment. One of your network sponsors is Farm Bureau Insurance. Southwest Michigan, Thomas Reynolds of Marshall is your referee. Richard Watkins, Larry Coop, Larry Kopp, Larry Monsma, and James Hayes round out the umpiring crew, all from Southwest Michigan. As you see the starters for Traverse City St. Francis coming onto the field, you briefly touched upon it, Rob Rubick, the keys to the game. If you're George Sahady of Bishop Gallagher or Larry Sellers of St. Francis, what do you want to see your team do today?
Well, Coach Sellers from St. Francis says the keys to the game, his defense has got to be physically tough. So they can't be intimidated by the size and the speed of Bishop Gallagher. He wants them to come out and play tough and try to limit the number of big plays Gallagher has because they are a big play team, Gary.
As for Gallagher, the key is basically try to control the line of scrimmage, pretty much so?
Yeah, try to control the line of scrimmage and get the ball into the hands of their skilled people. You know, Don Johnson, the fullback, who happens to be the brother of who, Gary?
Jesse Johnson, the outstanding running back out of Michigan.
Yeah, he would like to get the ball in the hands of Johnson. He has a fine quarterback, has a great arm. We've been watching him warm up in pregame, and he's a really, like Coach Haiti was pointing out, he's an untested or unused thrower. They haven't had to throw the ball very much. He has an extremely strong arm, and that's Raheem Batten.
Raheem Batten on the season has thrown for 797 yards and has rushed for another 462. As you take a look at the St. Francis Gladiators, they've made the playoffs. They won it. They were in the finals in 1983, losing by 2 to Detroit St. Martin de Porres, and have made 4 other appearances since then. And you see the Bishop Gallagher captains heading onto the field, and this is the first ever playoff appearance for the Lancers, who have been, shall we say, stuck in the very competitive Detroit Catholic League Central Division for many years, playing in the shadow of Brother Rice and Detroit Catholic Central. And as you see from the opening toss, St. Francis won the toss, deferred to the second half, and so Bishop Gallagher in the white uniforms, similar to what the Dallas Cowboys might wear, will be getting the kickoff and moving from our right to our left. You take a look at George Sahady. Sahady in his 20th year of guiding the Lancers, and Larry Francis in his 19th season of taking care of the Gladiators' fortunes. So the Class C championship game last year won by Muskegon Catholic Central will be crowning a new champion by the end of 48 minutes of play.
Well, the Lancers will be receiving the opening kickoff when we get an early look at Wasan Tate and Don Johnson, the dynamic duo they have in their backfield, who Coach Sahady believes are as good, if not better, than any pair of backs throughout the state. And he may be somewhat biased because they're his, but from what I've heard from other coaches and the people talking around today, they're a highly skilled team, and their only loss coming to St. Martin de Porres 20-6, and de Porres scored in the last few seconds of the game when Bishop Gallagher was forced to go for it on their own 5-yard line on 4th down because they were pent up. And or else you're looking at a 14-6 game against a team that's here in Double C today.
How much of an advantage will Bishop Gallagher have, Rob Rubick, in the fact that they've played in this building already once this season, playing in the Detroit Catholic League Prep Bowl and beating Saginaw Novell?
Well, I think it's somewhat of an advantage, more playing on the artificial turf than anything. but St. Francis has played up at the Uperdome a few times in the past couple of years, so Coach Sellers doesn't believe playing on the turf will be a detriment to his team. He thinks they're excited, the kids are ready, and he's just looking for a hard-fought, tough football game.
Greg Vaughn, a 6-foot, 210-pound sophomore, will be handling the kickoff chores for St. Francis. Back deep, Derek Kelly and Wasan Tate for the Lancers. Arm is up, and we're ready to go with this Class C championship game. A good kickoff, drives Tate inside his own goal line, and it will be an automatic touchback. 1st and 10 for the Lancers at their own 20-yard line. That has to be a plus when you can, in the high school kicker, being able to drive the opposition into the end zone and force a touchback.
The most important part was that Wasan Tate didn't get a chance to return the football.
Let's take a look at the Bishop Gallagher offense as we start. The offensive line averages 6'2", 240 per man from tackle to tackle. Jeff Seaton is the left tackle, Glenn Young at left guard, Maurice Latham at center, Frank Zapsky at right guard, and John Hamby at right tackle. The tight end is Ivan Bennett. Anthony Sahadi and James Story are the wideouts, and Raheem Batten running the offense. Takes the snap and goes right up the middle for about 5 yards. The running backs we mentioned were Wasan Tate and Don Johnson. Traverse City, St. Francis, as you take a look again, once again at the offense, we'll mention once again, 6'2", 240 from tackle to tackle. There are 7 seniors starting for the Lancers on offense, 4 juniors, and 7 two-way starters. You take a look at the backfield, Batten, Tate, Johnson, outstanding runners, all 3 of them. 2nd down and a long 4 just outside the 25-yard line of Gallagher. Batten hands off to Tate. And Wasan Tate, that's maybe a yard or 2 to the 27. It'll be a 3rd down opportunity. Let's take a look at the Gladiator defense for Traverse City. And from end to end, they average 5'11", 179 per man, with Bramer, Van Strat, Beeler, Farage, and Priest. The linebackers are Curtin, Spranger, and Gartland, and the defensive backs are Doriot, Gauthier, and Brady. As you take a look now on a 3rd down and a long 3 at the 27-yard line. Just underway, minute plus gone, first quarter, this Class C championship game. Raheem Batten did not like what he saw on the defense of St. Francis, and he will call a timeout and go and confer with Coach George Sahadi. From right tackle, making the hit for St. Francis. A whole host of tacklers there as Tate will come off the field. It'll be 4th down, less than a yard, and coming in to do the punting will be Pat Shue.
Here it is. It's just a little counter trap. Number 63 for St. Francis. Really feel Greg Spranger came up, did a nice job with some support from the outside. On a big 3rd down and 3, they come up short.
Good punt by Pat Shue. It drives Paul Gauthier back inside his 35, and he finds the going a little tough as he could not advance the ball much further. Pat Shue on the season, averaging almost 31 yards a punt, needed to put off a good one right there. So it'll be the first time St. Francis will have the football. Let's introduce their starting lineup for you. Their linemen from tackle to tackle average 6'1", 200 pounds per man, with Mac Van Strat, Andy Rottola, Ryan Farage, Greg Spranger, and Greg Vaughn. Jeremy Priest is the tight end. The split end is Brandon White, and 3 running backs in the backfield with Scott Doriot at quarterback. Mark Bramer and Paul Gauthier are the halfbacks. The fullback is Brian Gartland. 1st and 10, I formation for St. Francis. Hand off to the deep back. There's Paul Gauthier up the middle, past the 35-yard line. A good run for number 43.
All you see here is just a little dive off to the right. It's nothing fancy to start out. He does a great job picking up 4 yards.
There are 5 seniors, 5 juniors, and the sophomore. That's 75, Greg Vaughn, a 6', 210-pound sophomore who Coach Larry Sellers feels has been a very key contributor to his team's success this season. Look for number 63, Greg Spranger, to do a lot of work at his right guard position. 2nd down, handoff to Gauthier. Up the middle, 1st down for the Gladiators.
This is the same play that Gallagher just ran on 3rd down. You run the fullback to the right side, and you come back, giving it to the tailback coming left. Nice hole. Picks up about 5 or 6 yards. It's a 1st down. And right now, Traverse City seems to be executing extremely well, Gary.
As for Bishop Gallagher defensively, from end to end, they average 6'3", 226 per man. We'll introduce their starters to you momentarily. As you see now, the starters with Young, Chapsky, Seaton, Bennett, and Roseboro. Now a full house backfield and two tight ends. Handoff goes to Brian Gartland, and the 6'2", 200-pound senior does not go far up the middle. The defensive line once again with Young, Chapsky, Seaton, Bennett, and Roseboro for the Lancers. The linebackers are Don Johnson and Titus Dove will be starting at linebackers tonight in this second game. And then the corners, the defensive backs, are Jackson, Kelly, Tate, and Story. So it'll be second down and about 9 from the 45-yard line. We played almost 4 minutes first quarter. No score in this Class D championship game. That's Traverse City St. Francis with the football. I formation. Handoff goes to Paul Gauthier, and they continue to run, Rob Rubick, right up the middle. Gauthier with about 5 or 6 yards on the play.
Well, I think you're seeing the personality of Coach Larry Sellers come out here a little bit. They're lining up in just an I formation with a flanker left. They're just going ISO, and they're giving it to Gauthier. Coach Sellers feels he's an extremely tough, hard-nosed kid. He said he may not be the fastest, he may not be the strongest, but he said there's few tougher that come from the North Country.
George Sahady, you see on the screen right there, in his 20th season at Bishop Gallagher. Third down, about a yard to go. Here's the pitch back to Gauthier, cuts back inside. First down, inside Gallagher territory to the 44-yard line. Making the hit for Bishop Gallagher is linebacker Don Johnson.
It's just a quick pitch. They pull both guards, get them out front, and then one kicks out, the other seals them in. And Gauthier just really running hard and tough there. A fine effort by 31 for Traverse City. Gallagher's coming up. They're just a little bit slow reacting. I think you're going to see Gallagher's speed and aggressiveness start to take play here, though, because right now they're just overflowing. If they can just settle down, I think they'll be all right.
First and 10 at the 44-yard line of Bishop Gallagher. Dorian hands it off to the first back through. And that will be Mark Bramer. And he may have gained a yard on the play. Second down.
That was just a little quick dive by Bramer, the fullback, and Chopsky, the All-State candidate from Bishop Gallagher, was waiting right there. Did an excellent job standing him up for a minimal gain of 1 yard.
Frank Chopsky, 6'5", 282-pound senior. He is a load to try to move around and move out of the way if you're trying to run an offense. Second down. The pitch back goes to Chris Beeler, and Beeler tries to run around right end and gets run out of bounds about the 40-yard line. Beeler giving Paul Gauthier a bit of a breather here.
Titus Dove does a nice job. It's a quick pitch. They fling it out. Beeler running the ball, and Titus Dove comes up and stops it for about a 3-yard gain, brings up a 3rd and 6. This is a key play. What's also been important for Traverse City on this drive, Gary, is that even if they don't pick up the first down here, it gains field position. And they'll pin Gallagher deep in their own end.
Scott Dorian averages about 48% passing. But he'll keep it on the ground and hand it off to the first back through, Brian Gartland, and he will be close to a first down. Well, all depends on where they spot it. And on first glance from where they spot it, it will be a first down. They will measure, though. But it was a quick hitter, and Scott Dorian is running the multiple offense strictly on the ground, almost to letter perfection.
Yeah, Larry Sellers is really mixing up the plays well for Traverse City right now. They've gone quick pitch, they've gone ISO, they've gone quick dive, a little quick trap inside. So he's really got Gallagher thinking and moving.
First down by about a third of the football, and keeps the down box moving. We are almost midway through the first quarter in a scoreless tie. Bishop Gallagher took the opening kickoff, could not really do much with it. And St. Francis on their opening drive trying to march downfield. First and 10, 34-yard line of Bishop Gallagher. Traverse City St. Francis with the football. Scott Dorian hands it off to Dan Curtin. And Curtin pulls his way inside the 30. Dan Curtin, a 6'1", 175-pound junior.
Here it is, the isolation. He follows right behind Bramer, puts his head down, drives, pick up a couple extra yards. Nice job by Wasan Tate filling for Gallagher there. It brings up a 2nd and 3. And Larry Sellers is doing a nice job because he's got a lot of backs. He doesn't like to be selfish. He said he likes to spread the wealth back there. He's got 3 or 4 kids that can really run the ball.
Carl Roseborough, the 6'4", 185-pound senior, also helped. An official timeout to check the helmet of one of the Gallagher players. Now that everything is in order, the clock will continue to run. Under 5.5 minutes to go, first quarter. Handoff goes to Curtin. And Dan Curtin, straight up the middle, will make it less than a yard for the first down and be on third down now. They may want to bring the chains here, but they decide not to. Third down and less than a yard. 5 minutes to go in the first half, and Scott Dorian, the 5'11", 165-pound senior, has not unleashed his arm yet. But he's had some good running backs already. 5 running backs have already touched the ball for St. Francis. On third down, Dorian checks off. Change the play at the line of scrimmage. 2 tight ends, and Scott Dorian decides not to take any chances of possibly delaying the game. He will call a timeout, and both sides have already burned one up so far. A boy, a ball, and a dream. Watch the drama of the 1993 Michigan High School Athletic Association Boys Basketball Finals unfold by attending this year's finals at the Palace of Auburn Hills on March 27th. Usual crowd of 21,475 attend both sessions, which means tickets will be very hard to get to. And if you want to have a chance to see this exciting action, the public sale of tickets will begin on March 1st through the Palace box office and at Ticketmaster outlets statewide. A very long and sustained drive so far for St. Francis. Traverse City team will be trying to make the 11th play on a drive that started at their own 31-yard line. As a coach yourself, and of course a former player with Grand Valley State and with the Detroit Lions route, those long sustained drives are something to treasure if you're in one, and something you don't want to have if you're trying to defend it.
You always hear that the defense is getting tired because the offense has been on the field a long time. But what people don't understand is when you're on defense, everyone has to keep running to the ball. Offensive line, you know, they make their block, they lose their block. A lot of them, they don't have to run and chase the ball carrier down.
On third down and less than a yard, the handoff goes to the fullback, Brian Gartland. And Gartland, off of left tackle, gets the first down. And that's the third straight conversion and as many attempts on third down for the blue-clad Gladiators. First and 10 for St. Francis on the 22 of Bishop Gallagher. As Ryan Farage goes over center, goes over the ball, Scott Dorian calls the signals. Handoff goes to Paul Gauthier, and he gets stacked up at the line of scrimmage and gains maybe a half yard, but we'll call it no gain, second down and 10.
That was just a little slant trap, but Titus Dove did a great job stepping up. He saw the guard trapping, and he filled where the guard was coming. That's a good read. He's out of the game. I don't know if he's injured or what, but Titus Dove just went over the sidelines for Gallagher. Hopefully he'll be all right and back into the game.
Larry Sellers, we talked about his record. 150 wins, a former Central Michigan man. On second down and 10. Dorian keeps it around left end, cuts back inside, gets inside the 10, inside the 5, first and goal for St. Francis, and Scott Dorian finally keeps the ball after some misdirection on earlier plays.
What a well-conceived play, what a well-designed play. Dorian fakes the dive, he takes Bramer, leads Roan in, hooks number 88 for Gallagher. Some good downfield blocking by number 63, Greg Spranger. That play was set up, Gary, by the constant pounding, inside trap, inside ISO, off tackle. All of a sudden, the quarterback pulls it, and he goes outside, and there's no one there.
Stoppage on the field for a minute to check down Johnson's equipment. Scott Dorian, in the years he has been a starter at quarterback, he has never lost a game. He wasn't a starter last year at quarterback. He's been a starter in his sophomore year and the starter now as a senior. Sixth ball carrier Dorian was on this drive. Handoff goes to Brian Gartland. And Gartland bowls his way to about the 2.
This is where it's going to get extremely tough for the Gladiators. When they're closed down like this, and Gallagher with the the better size and strength, definitely the bigger team, it's going to be hard for Traverse City to get any type of movement when they're playing running here. I think Coach Sellers may have to come up with some misdirection or some type of play to fool them a little bit and get them outside.
Second down and goal just inside the 2. St. Francis trying to punch it in on their first possession in a scoreless tie Class C championship game. Scott Doriot, Starling signals. Handoff goes to Gauthier. He stood up at the 1 and goes no further.
Real good line search for Gallagher here.
Don Johnson.
Don Johnson does an excellent job filling from the strong safety position. The linebacker position, excuse me.
Third down. You're looking at Wasan Tate, outstanding runner, and a pretty good defensive back as well for Bishop Gallagher. He has 7 interceptions on the season, but St. Francis hasn't put the ball up in the air yet. Third and goal at the 1. Full house backfield, 2 tight ends, tight formation. Dorian keeps around left end. He will lose some yardage. Tough defense by the Lancers. And it'll be 4th down and less than a minute and a half to play in the first quarter.
Here's a great example of Gallagher's team speed. They try to get him with that quarterback keep around the end. But Don Johnson, you have inside pressure. The number 22, Wasan Tate, also Don Johnson, the linebacker. Number 8 coming up also was helping for Gallagher. I'm not sure they have James Story. They did an excellent job. They strung that out. They didn't bite on the inside fake that time, Gary, and they were there. It brings up a 3rd and 3, a big play. They're choosing to go for it.
It's 4th and goal at the 3. It is a big play. Under a minute to go, first quarter. One wide out to the left. And back to throw. The lob for Gauthier. He's got it. Touchdown! Paul Gauthier catches the 3-yard pass from Scott Dorian.
It's just a straight bootleg. He throws it up, it flutters on him a little bit. Dorian's pass, but Gauthier was right there. He had to fight off his teammate, Kevin Endres, for the ball, but it was wide open. I was a little surprised Gallagher let him run free. He just came out of the backfield. It was a nice play, and first touchdown. It was a 6-0 game, Traverse City.
A 17-play, 69-yard drive, taking 9:12 off the clock. A coach's dream. If you're Larry Sellers, that is a nice, long, sustained drive. So on for the conversion for St. Francis will be Greg Vaughn. Very consistent field goal extra point kicker. And as we mentioned that, he shanks it off to the left. 42 seconds to go in the first quarter. But St. Francis is still enjoying a 6-0 lead over Bishop Gallagher. Another three-peat of prep sports coverage from the MHSAA girls basketball and football finals takes place Sunday here on Pro-Am Sports. Our girls basketball coverage concludes with the Class B final at 2 p.m., followed by the Class C championship at 4, and then at 7:30 it's the Class B grid title between Kingsford and Marysville. Bill Brandell and Mark Crawford will have the call of the game for you. Stay with us. Tomorrow, as the best in high school championship sports coverage continues here on Pass.
Well, Gary, I was talking, I hate to be redundant, but when I talked to Coach Sellers before the game, there's we see Coach Sahady. Look at that record, 20th year, 87, 96. And a lot of that's kind of tough because, like you said, he was in that tough central division of the Catholic League. For years, they were an undersized school. Now they're down to a Class C school, and he's doing a great job. He has some fine athletes. And I was talking to him before the game. He also pointed out that he has 8 full-time coaches, if you can believe that.
George Sahady is his 20th year at Gallagher, 23rd as a head coach. He also had stops at Grosse Pointe, St. Paul, and Detroit, St. Francis de Sales, 2 high schools that are no longer in existence. And the semifinal win over Manchester, 28-14, was his 100th as a high school coach. So, here's the kickoff from Greg Vaughn. Back deep is Kelly and Tate. And Wasan Tate will let the ball go out of bounds. The penalty flag will fly, and the penalty will be called against St. Francis.
Recapping that last drive, Coach Sellers said one of the keys today to beating Gallagher was ball control. Now, what better ball control can you have than, what was it, 16, 17-play drive, 17-play drive, 9 minutes and 12 seconds. you have to do that against a team with Gallagher's skill and talent because they have so much speed, such great big play capability, you have to keep the ball out of their hands. And when you can eat up that type of time, you're going to have success, as St. Francis showed on that last drive.
The Lancers decide to take the ball at the 35-yard line as the kickoff went out of bounds. So it'll be first and 10 in decent field position for the second series offensive possession for Raheem Batten and the Gallagher Lancers. First and 10, I formation. With 42 seconds left in the first quarter. Handoff is to Wassan Tate up the middle, breaks a couple of tackles and gets a good 8-yard gain to the 42, maybe the 43. Second down and 3 at the 42.
It is the second back through, gets to Wassan Tate. He dragged the Gladiator with him for about 3 extra yards, a hard runner. I think we're going to see a lot of Wassan before the game's through.
Paul Gauthier with the stop. Wassan Tate, 1,537 yards this season coming into the game. Last play of the first quarter coming up if Raheem Batten can get it in 6 seconds. Hand off to Johnson. He breaks 2 tackles. First down into St. Francis territory and sets up shop. And Gallagher set up shop at the 45-yard line of St. Francis. We'll return for second quarter action. Through 12 minutes of play. It's St. Francis 6 and Bishop Gallagher nothing. This is the MHSAA on pass. Ransky, second quarter, just about ready to start in this Class C State High School Football Championship game between Traverse City St. Francis and Harper Woods Bishop Gallagher. A 3-yard touchdown pass from Scott Doriot to Paul Gauthier, who has been the only scoring so far. It climaxed a very long 17-play drive on St. Francis' first possession. This is the second possession for Bishop Gallagher, and they start up shop first and 10 at the 45-yard line of St. Francis. This is Raheem Batten, the junior at quarterback. Hands off to Wassan Tate. Tate cuts back inside, still on his feet. He's in the open field at the 20, at the 10. He won't be caught. Touchdown, 45 yards, Wassan Tate. We're tied at 6.
Well, there it is, Gary. Just what Coach Sellers feared in Traverse City. The big play capability Gallagher has. They have just tremendous team speed. It's just a deep handoff. The fullback leads through. Tate gets the ball. He almost stumbles. He gets his balance back. Picks up a block from Sahedi, and he goes the distance. And that's just what they have, that type of explosive offense that can hit you at any time.
Wassan Tate's 22nd touchdown of the season. He had 2 touchdowns and 155 yards in the semifinal win over Manchester. It is now 6 postseason touchdowns for Wassan Tate. Conversion attempt coming from Pat Shue. It is up. It is through. And it is now a 7-6 Bishop Gallagher lead over St. Francis of Traverse City. One of your network sponsors is True Value Hardware. Gets it inside his 15, runs it back about a good 15 yards or so to the 30-yard line. So it'll be first and 10 for St. Francis at their own 30. The 45-yard run by Wassan Tate that gave Gallagher an eventual 7-6 lead. Climax a 3-play, 65-yard drive. It only took 53 seconds in stark contrast to the 17-play, 69-yard, 9-minute drive in the first quarter that was climaxed by a Scott Doriot to Paul Gauthier 3-yard touchdown pass. First and 10 for the Gladiators at their own 30-yard line. In the first minute, second quarter, Class C championship game. Scott Doriot barking out signals. Hands it off to his deep back. That's Mark Bramer. Bramer tries to get around left in and gets minimal yardage. Making the hit for Bishop Gallagher, Tony Jackson with some others.
This is the counter trade. They pull both guards here. It's a deep handoff to Bramer. It's a decent kick-out block. But Gallagher has such fine team speed on their defense. They're flowing and they're filling. And it was just by the time he gets to the hole, there's nothing there.
Bishop Gallagher got here with victories over Ubley 21-14, Harbor Beach 27-18, Harbor Beach the finalist last year, and Manchester 28-14. St. Francis with the football and down 1, 7-6. Second down and about 8 from the 32. Fumble on a handoff, and Scott Doriot has to be alert to keep possession, but it's a loss of 3 back to the 29-yard line.
Here we see Dorian having a little bit of problem with the exchange. He was supposed to be faking it to Gauthier, and he was going to roll out to the right side, but he just got the ball a little bit too deep on the fake on the handoff, and Gauthier knocked it out of his hand. Luckily, he was alert, and Dorian was able to hop on the ball, and they retained possession.
St. Francis got here with victories over St. Ignace 10-7, Iron Mountain 42-20, and Coleman 41-14. Third down and 11 from the 29-yard line of St. Francis. Gladiators with the ball. Scott Dorian in a full house backfield. Double handoff, now gives it to Gauthier. Gauthier around the end. Does not get the first down, but a penalty marker is thrown as James Story brings him down. Story may have been accused of grabbing some iron and a face mask call.
I think you're going to see a face mask, and it's a shame because Story does an excellent job of fighting off the blocker. He was one-on-one with the blocker, and he was able to get rid of him and make the play on Gauthier, but it was just, he got his hand up on the mask a little bit. It was just for a brief second, but it was enough where the official was standing right there, caught him, and threw the flag.
It is a personal foul, 15-yard face mask penalty that will tack on 15 yards to a 7-yard gain and make it 1st and 10 for St. Francis at the 49-yard line of Bishop Gallagher.
That's a little bit different. If that was an NFL right there, Gary, that would have been a 5-yarder because it was inadvertent. But in high school, all face masks are a 15-yard penalty.
On 1st and 10 at the 49 of Bishop Gallagher, Traverse City St. Francis has the football. Handoff goes to Brian Gartland, and Gartland battles for maybe 4.
That was a different look there for Gary. Traverse City came out like in a double wing set with Gartland in the backfield, and they just gave it to him on a straight-ahead dive. He fought ahead for about 4 yards. They're really trying to keep Gallagher off balance with multiple formations. And I think sometimes when you're undermanned size-wise, when they're just a little bit smaller, you need to do that to keep them from just start pushing you back defensively.
Ivan Bennett was credited with the tackle. 2nd down and 6 from the 45-yard line. Full house backfield, a straight tee. Handoff goes to Chris Beeler in the open field. And Don Johnson knocks him out of bounds, but not before Beeler brings the ball inside the 20.
I'm going to let you call this one because I'm watching Curtin on the dive. He fakes the dive to Curtin. He comes back off tackle to Peeler. And if it wasn't for the great speed of Don Johnson, who runs him down and has the angle on him a little bit, it would have been a touchdown. But it's a big play. And Johnson, you see, throwing him out of bounds. But it's a big play for Traverse City. They're doing a good job right now of mixing up their offensive plays.
Chris Beeler runs for 30 yards. He had 2 one-yard touchdown runs in the semifinal win over Coleman. 1st and 10 from the 15. Handoff to Curtin. And Dan Curtin battles inside the 15, gets it close to the 10 before he is knocked down by Titus Dove, the linebacker. Gain of 4. The ball is touching the 11. 2nd down and 6. And St. Francis, Rob Brubeck, you have to be impressed with both of their drives so far. They've been very effective in moving the football on the ground.
Well, they execute extremely well with their run fakes and their even their pass fakes. And that's what you're seeing, a real well-coached team right now.
2nd and 6 from the 11. Straight T formation. Handoff to Beeler. And Beeler tries to go off of left tackle and gets inside the 10 before Titus Dove, this 5'9", 200-pound senior, makes the stop. Gain of about 3, 3rd down and 3 at the 8.
Well, I like Titus Dove. He really flies from his backer position. Anytime it's a slow development play, it seems like he's there. And as long as he doesn't take the first fake, he's made a lot of tackles on the second back through today.
3rd down and 3 from the 8. Scott Doriot looks over the signals, looks over the team and calls signals. Doriot has a bad pitch. It's loose and recovered by James Story of Bishop Gallagher at the 10-yard line. First turnover of the game stops St. Francis' drive at the Gallagher 10.
Now, this is the chance you take when anytime you run anything wide or you start pitching the ball when you get inside the 10-yard line, you have that chance of a turnover. And that time the pitch was a little bit behind him. He couldn't reach back and get it. And it's a bad play for Traverse City, but it's a great play for Gallagher.
Mark Bramer's momentum prevented him from trying to go toward the ball. It was behind him, and then the football will take crazy bounces once it hits the ground. And it went right into James Story's hand. 1st and 10 for the Lancers of Bishop Gallagher. The Harper Woods team has it on their own 10-yard line. They're leading 7-6. 2nd quarter. Straight up the middle was Son Tate. Nothing there. Stopped by 53, Ryan Farage. Pardon me, it is Raheem Batten, the quarterback.
That's
I'm calling Tate's name so much that 2 and 22 gets a little bit confused.
That's the second time they've run that play. It's just a quarterback draw. He just steps about a yard back in the center and then just takes his hole either right or left and tries to get as much as he can. First time they got 5 yards, that time Traverse City did not flow with the running backs, and they only picked up 1 yard.
2nd and 9 from the 11. There's Raheem Batten. They call him the Rock. Will set up offense for Gallagher. Pro set formation. Penalty markers fly as the play is thrown.
I think you're going to see a procedure call against Gallagher. The right side of their line, the tight end, I believe, moved a little bit early.
Referee Thomas Reynolds calls the illegal procedure. And he'll make it now 2nd down and 14 at the 6-yard line. One of the state's great prep sports spectacles is the MHSAA Lower Peninsula Individual Wrestling Finals. This year, fans attending the Class A and B finals at the Kellogg Arena in Battle Creek can avoid the traditional battle for a view by purchasing a reserve seat for the 2 days of action. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster outlets statewide. 2nd down, 14 from the 6-yard line of Bishop Gallagher. The Lancers have the ball and the 7-6 lead. We're almost midway through the second quarter. Raheem Batten hands it off to Hassan Tate. Tate gets around left end, but could not get the last block needed to spring open a big gainer. He does get the ball to the 9.
But he was close, wasn't he? It was a nice play made by number 63 for Traverse City, Greg Spranger. And I don't think if Greg gets him, that he may go the distance because he's the last one there. They had the end turned in nicely, but he just couldn't quite, Wasson couldn't quite break the tackle, and it brings up a 3rd and 10.
Hassan Tate and Don Johnson. That combination very potent in the semifinal win over Manchester. Raheem Batten barking out signals. Flags fly as Don Johnson will get a little bit of a wind sprint workout there. But the whistle blew before the play was started. And another legal procedure call against Traverse Bishop Gallagher. So he'll move the ball half the distance to the goal. Should get it just outside the 5-yard line. Or at the 5-yard line. Will be 3rd down and 15 from the 5.
That's costly. Right now they'd be looking at a 3rd and 5, but 2 5-yard penalties have pushed Gallagher back. And this is a big play. If Traverse City can hold them, if St. Francis can hold them here, they should get the ball inside the 40-yard line with a chance to punch it in before the half.
3rd down and 15. Lancers with the ball at their own 5. Raheem Batten over Maurice Latham, the center. Batten will roll out to his right in the end zone. Now wants to run. Cuts outside. Batten cuts back inside and will be short of a 1st down. As Paul Gauthier will stop him, but Batten moves the ball out of a dangerous situation for Gallagher and gets the ball to the 18-yard line. A good 13-yard run by Rock Batten.
I think we're getting a replay. A replay showed the play before where the penalty was. It was a dead ball. But that time it was just a quarterback bootleg to the right, and he was looking for the throw. We were well covered, and he put it down and ran it. Picked up 13 yards, and nice athletic play, but it just wasn't quite enough.
Pat Schu's first kick of the day was 38 yards. Deep is Mark Bramer and Paul Gauthier. This is Schu. High snap, but no pressure, and so he'll be able to get the kick away. A high kick. Bramer will take it at his own 43. Fakes the handoff and is tackled right there by Gallagher's Derek Kelly. This telecast is a copyrighted production of the Michigan High School Athletic Association, the Pontiac Silverdome Authority, and Pro-Am Sports. No reproduction of the pictures or accounts of this game may take place without the express written permission of the MHSAA and Pro-Am Sports. Along with Rob Rubick, I'm Gary Ratsky, our statistician Joe Abramson. 4:23 to go, second quarter. Traverse City St. Francis, you see them on the screen. They are trailing 7-6 to Harper Woods Bishop Gallagher in this Class C championship game. St. Francis last year lost to the eventual champion Muskegon Catholic Central, and they're having a chance to get their slice of glory here. Doria, the quarterback, hands off to the first back through. That is Dan Curtin, and Curtin may have gained a yard. He does, 2nd and 9.
There wasn't much there that time. The first back through, he gives it to Curtin. He tries to go off the left side, but good pursuit by Gallagher, and it brings up a 2nd and 9. you got to be impressed. Gallagher, for as big as they are up front, the kids really seem to move well laterally.
2nd down and 9 from the 44-yard line. 3.5 minutes to go, first half. Straight T formation. Back to throw Dorian. Under some pressure. He'll be sacked. Making the hit for Bishop Gallagher is Glenn Young, the 6'3", 215-pound senior. James Story, who already has a fumble recovery, also helped.
A little play-action pass, and it was a good thing that Gallagher had pressure on because Mr. White, Brandon White for Traverse City, was sitting over here on the sidelines quite open. But it really doesn't matter when you can apply that type of pressure to a quarterback. That causes the play to break down.
Young, one of 9 senior starters on that Lancer defense. The Lancers have really built up their team after struggling for many years. 3rd down at the 35. Dorian will keep and try to make something out of a run around left end. He gets the ball past the 40-yard line to the 41. James Story along with Titus Dove with the tackle. 4th down and about 12 from the 41-yard line. You look at Don Johnson jogging out onto the field.
I'm a little surprised that Coach Sahady doesn't take a timeout here because he's going to get the ball back.
And he has 2 to play with.
He had it back with almost about 2:40, 2:35 on the clock if he had taken a timeout. But maybe right now he just feels 7-6, go in, regroup at halftime.
Scott Dorian will make his first punt of the day. He averages about 35 yards. Timeout called by St. Francis. They could not get one of their punt coverage men out on the field on time. They have to call the timeout. Now, one of the teams participating in the 1992 MHSAA football finals will be selected as the recipient of the Good Sports Are Winners Award. The most sportsmanlike team and its followers will be honored with a commemorative banner, crystal trophy, and a $1,000 donation from True Value Hardware Stores, which sponsors the MHSAA's year-round sportsmanship efforts. The Frankfurt Panthers were the winners of the 1991 Good Sports Are Winners Award at the football championships. 2 minutes to go, almost a 2-minute warning, Rob Rubick, but it is a timeout for St. Francis to get themselves composed. And I think that the mix-up on the punt coverage team gives George Sahady's Gallagher Lancers a big break.
Yeah, maybe Coach Sahady was just happy to go in with the 7-6 lead, like I said. But now he's going to have an opportunity with any type of return to possibly put some more points on the board. They have an excellent kicker who has, a strong foot. Andy, no, I'm sorry, not Andy Rosella.
Scott Dorian.
Yeah, Scott Dorian. And, maybe an opportunity to pick up 3 here before the half.
Well, Scott Dorian is handling the punting chores here for Francis. Wasan Tate is averaging 24.5 yards a punt return. He'll let the ball bounce. Maybe he should have picked it up because it gets a good roll for St. Francis inside the 10 to the 8-yard line. A very good punt by Scott Dorian, of 51 yards. His longest this season was 62. But now with 1:46 to go, Gallagher will have the ball 1st and 10 at their own 8.
It's going to be interesting to see what Coach Sahady does here, if he's going to come out throwing the ball or if he's just going to be content, like I said, maybe on his own 8-yard line. He might play a little bit safe, which may not be too unwise at this point in the game.
Pro set formation, pro set right. Barack Batten, handoff goes to Don Johnson, and Johnson up the middle, gets his way to about the 15, maybe the 16-yard line. 2nd down and about 2.
You see Don Johnson coming through the line, doing a nice job. Showing some good leg strength, some good quicks coming through there. You think his brother Jesse's watching right now.
The outstanding tailback from Michigan, Don Johnson, says Coach Sahady, an explosive running back. Penalty marker flies as Wasan Tate tries to make something out of nothing, and he does run for a 1st down. But let's see what the penalty marker is. Going to be called, as it was thrown by referee Thomas Reynolds. Illegal motion against Gallagher. That'll be their 3rd penalty for 15 yards. With 59 seconds to go here in the first half. To show you something about Bishop Gallagher as we put the ball back on the 10-yard line. Bishop Gallagher this season is 11-1. Last season, the Lancers were 3-6. 2 years ago, 1-8. A great rebuilding job by George Sahady. On second down and about 8 from the 10-yard line. Back to throw, Batten. He'll keep it. Rolls out. Trying to find some open running room and doesn't get any. Maybe a yard. That's about all. Running him down is, I believe, Mark Bramer. It is. And it's a tackle. Timeout has been called by Bishop Gallagher with 32 seconds to go in the half. You can make the grade in your community by helping youngsters enjoy the values taught through interscholastic sports competition. Coaches, such as my broadcast partner, and officials are always needed in all sports. It's your call. And for more information, contact your local school athletic director or the Michigan High School Athletic Association on Trowbridge Road in East Lansing in the shadow of Spartan Stadium. Third down, and they'll call it, I believe it's still third down. The box still says third down, and we'll call it about 6 from the 12-yard line. A defensive struggle. I'm a little surprised, Rob Rubik, because I thought both teams' offenses would be a little bit more high-powered and be able to move. They've moved the ball, but they haven't been able to punch it in outside of one time for each side.
Well, I think that's deceiving too, Gary, because Traverse City's put together 2 fine drives where they've marched down the field. The second time they turned the ball over inside the 10-yard line. Gallagher hasn't had the ball that often because of the time-consuming drives. When they had it the first time, they were 3 and out, but the second time they got to play, they scored in a minute on the long run. And then the third time, I believe, they had a couple penalties that cost them, and they had to punt, and once again, another costly penalty, which sets them into a 3rd and 8.
At the 12-yard line, 3rd down and 6, I formation. 2 far wide outs. Handoff to Tate. Wasan Tate has a first down, then steps out of bounds at the 25-yard line, stopping the clock with 24 seconds left in the half. Wasan Tate, very elusive. Great moves and speed. 6 runs for 73 yards and a touchdown.
It's just a little sweep outside. Don Johnson was leading for him. A nice nifty move there after the whistle. But you got a feeling that Wasan Tate is always about a half a step away from going the distance. He just has that type of acceleration and athleticism enables him to make every play a possible touchdown.
1st and 10 at the 24-yard line of Bishop Gallagher. Lancers with the ball in a 7-6 lead with 24 seconds to go in the first half. I formation, and back to throw goes Raheem Batten. Batten will keep the ball. Runs back inside to the 35. Strong arms one man to get, and gets a good block from James Story, but is down at the 45-yard line. Clock will stop to move the chains, but with 12 seconds to go, a very good run of 21 yards by Raheem Batten.
Well, I like that type of play which Gallagher ran. They got Raheem outside where it opens up a little bit and allows him to use his athletic ability. It's a sprint rollout. He's got the option to throw it to Wasan Tate, but he decides to tuck it and start running. Now, you get somebody with this type of ability in the open field, and you have the opportunity for a touchdown. And if it wasn't for the good pursuit, I think we're going to see a fine block coming up right there by James Story.
Ryan Brady was the recipient of that block. 6 seconds to go. The Lancers had 4 seconds run off the clock before they were able to get the officials' attention to get a timeout. That will be their last timeout. So it's 6 seconds to Hail Mary time almost.
You see some of the faithful that come down from, I believe, Traverse City to help cheer on their favorite Gladiators. Since the Trojans didn't make it this year, they had the Gladiators to cheer on. It seems like year after year, Traverse City's pumping out fine football and teams that have come down to the Silverdome.
Almost as if it was a shuttle service. 6 seconds to go, first half. 7-6, Bishop Gallagher on a 45-yard run by Wasan Tate early here in the second quarter. St. Francis got on the board but missed the extra point. Their touchdown was a 3-yard touchdown pass from Scott Doriot to Paul Gauthier. And it's been some breaks for Bishop Gallagher since then on the second drive, forcing James Story picking up a fumble at the 10-yard line.
It's been a low scoring, but it hasn't been a boring game. It's been real exciting, well played so far. With 6 seconds to go in the first half. Should be the last play of the half.
Story and Anthony Sahadi, I should say, is on the left, and penalty marker is flown. Batten wants to throw short, does. to Story, but Story caught it on a knee. No time left on the clock, but we'll see what the penalty is. Story will have caught the ball just short of a first down at the 46.
I think it's going to be a motion penalty. Wasan Tate went in motion from the wing position right after the line had been set, and they weren't set for a full second. I believe as you're going to see a motion penalty, it'll be declined, and it should be the end of the first half.
No more time left in the half, and I don't know if St. Francis... No, St. Francis will decide to decline the penalty, head to the locker room. So we are through one half of play with the score. Harper Woods Bishop Gallagher 7 and Traverse City St. Francis 6. This Class C championship game for the Pontiac Silverdome, and this is the MHSAA on pass. They scored their touchdown. A long drive for St. Francis, a lightning quick score for Bishop Gallagher.
Yeah, Coach Sellers, one of his key points to the game, as I repeated earlier, or said earlier, was ball control. He knows Bishop Gallagher is high potent. They have such skilled running backs and receivers. He has to keep the ball out of their hands. He did that with the 2 long drives. Unfortunately, they turned it over on the second drive on the 10-yard line.
A 3-yard touchdown pass from Scott Doriot to Paul Gauthier is the score for St. Francis, while Wasan Tate has the 45-yard TD run for Bishop Gallagher. More of our halftime in a moment. One of your network sponsors is Health Alliance Plan 6 at halftime, as you are looking at the band for Traverse City St. Francis playing to the spectators across the way at Bishop Gallagher. Let's take a listen to see what they are doing right now. More to come at halftime. We'll be right back here at the Silverdome. 7-6, Bishop Gallagher leading St. Bob Rubik and statistician Joe Abramson. I'm Gary Ratsky. Glad you could join us for this Class C title game. Bishop Gallagher in its first ever state playoff appearance, trying to win a state Class C championship. St. Francis of Traverse City is in its 6th appearance. Their first appearance was a 28-26 loss to another Detroit Catholic League school, St. Martin de Porres. It's a fact that when a youngster's parents play an active role in their education, the benefits are far-reaching for both. But what about those parents who don't? Well, what are they missing? Tommy Cameron, the sports editor of the Jackson Citizen Patriot, tells us what's happening in this feature, Stealing Without Any Guilt. 6 over Traverse City St. Francis in this Class C championship game. Wasan Tate putting Gallagher into the lead on a 45-yard touchdown run, climaxing a 65-yard drive. It took just 53 seconds going into the early parts of the second quarter. The conversion by Pat Shue gave Gallagher the lead after Scott Doria hit Paul Gauthier with a 3-yard touchdown pass, climaxing a 9-minute, 17-play drive for St. Francis. Back with the second half in a moment. One of your network sponsors is Big Boy Restaurants. The reason that Bishop Gallagher leads this game 7-6 is the explosiveness of one, Wasan Tate, the 5'8", 175-pound senior who ran for 2 touchdowns in the semifinal win over Manchester, responded to a 17-play, 9-minute drive that culminated in St. Francis' score as Gallagher's outstanding senior halfback ran one in from 45 yards out. We'll have the replay for you in a moment, but it was indeed an example, Rob Rubik, of the outstanding explosiveness of Tate.
Here you see it right now. It's just a straight dive, isolation. Oh, I don't think he scores. Yeah, this is the one where he stumbles, and just great balance. And right now you see him turn the turbos on. And when you've got that type of speed and that type of explosiveness, every play you have a chance to score.
The statistics run down very briefly. The time possession greatly for St. Francis, but Gallagher's out rushing him. So we'll have more of the second half in a moment. This is the MHSAA on pass. The time possession and the rushing yardage for the team. It's just been incredible.
The Lancers have actually outrushed the Gladiators 134 to 109, and we're looking at the average yards per play. It's 10.2 for Bishop Gallagher and only 4 for the Gladiators. But then you look above it at how many plays Traverse City's had, 28 compared to only 14 offensive plays and a half.
Scott Doriot will take the kickoff, and they are wanting to run left on the kickoff, and Doriot is finding no room to run at all. A lot of east-west running there.
That's funny, Gary. We were discussing that in the first game. They had a wall right return set up, but when the kick is kicked to your left, you have to convert that type of return and just take it straight up the field and get as much as you can. It's too slow developing, trying to come all the way back to the wall.
And so Scott Doriot, who had to return the kickoff, will handle the quarterbacking chores for the Gladiators. He's thrown for 1 touchdown. Doriot will have Mark Bramer, Paul Gauthier, and Brian Gartland in the backfield with him. Brandon White is the split end. Tight end Jeremy Priest, Mac Van Strat, Andy Rotola, Ryan Farage, Greg Spranger, and Greg Vaughn comprise the front wall. With a slot to the right, I formation, 1st and 10. Handoff goes to the deep back. That is Mark Bramer. And Bramer kills up the middle for maybe a yard.
Well, Rob, I'm going to be interested to see how Gallagher does with their defense the second half. They've probably seen, Traverse City has shown them most of their offensive plays. Now they're going to look at them for the second, possibly third time. Let's see how they react if they made any adjustments at the halftime to try to stop and not allow them to have 10, 12, 14-play drives.
Can they stop them? They really have not shown a capability outside of the fumble right there early in the second quarter. The fumble recovery. Full house backfield now on 2nd down, 2 tight ends. Keeping it is Doriot, and he's going to be rang down from behind by Glenn Young, the weak side end, the wide side end, 6'3", 215-pound senior.
That time it's the quarterback. He fakes the dive. It's a keep to the outside. Doriot trying to go, but Young showing great speed. He runs him down from behind and causes a 4-yard loss, set up a 3rd and 12 on their own 14-yard line. This is not an envious position to be in right now.
And you take a look at Glenn Young, Frank Chapsky, Jeff Seaton, Ivan Bennett, and Carl Roseborough, the other defensive linemen. Titus Dove, Don Johnson, the linebackers. Demetrius Jackson, Derek Kelly, Wasan Tate, and James Story are the defensive backs. On 3rd down, the handoff goes to fullback Dan Curtin, and Curtin runs off of right tackle past the 20 to the 22-yard line. A gain of 7, but it'll be too short for a first down. So on 4th down and about 5, it'll be punting time for Scott Doriot.
Well, this is just what the doctor ordered for Gallagher, to come out the second half, the defense to come in 3 plays and out for Traverse City's offense. Your defense doesn't get tired and run down. Now you're going to get the ball in excellent field position and a chance to go in and add on to your 1-point lead.
Derek Kelly and Wasan Tate will stand around their 40. The first punt by Scott Doriot was a 51-yarder. Minimal pressure, and Doriot gets a high kick this time. Tate calls for the fair catch and will get it at the 43-yard line of Bishop Gallagher. Good field position for the Lancers on their first possession of the second half. The reason school activity programs such as athletics, music, and drama are so effective is because you have so many students wanting to pursue these activities on their own time. They're also cost-effective because they involve a large segment of the students, teachers, and community while spending less than 2% of the school budget. Support your local school activities program. First and 10, just outside the 42-yard line for Bishop Gallagher. The Lancers have the ball and a 7-6 lead. We've played 2.5 minutes of the third quarter. Raheem Batten sets down the offense. And Wasan Tate has the football, has an opening, breaks inside the 50-yard line at St. Francis territory. And it looks as if he'll get an 11 and a first down to the 47-yard line of the Gladiators.
This is a split-back formation with the halfback to the wide side, or to the short side to the split end, and it's just a straight-ahead keep with the tackle turning his man in. Coach Sellers was afraid of this play, so they've had excellent success. That is Gallagher throughout the season running to the split end side, which is rare in high school. Most teams like to run to the tight end.
Raheem Batten has Wasan Tate and Don Johnson in the backfield with him. Anthony Sahady and James Story are the wideouts. Ivan Bennett's the tight end. On first and 10 from the 47-yard line of St. Francis. Bishop Gallagher with the ball in the lead. Handoff Don Johnson up the middle. Gets through a couple of tacklers and finally hauled down by Paul Gauthier at the 41-yard line, a gain of 6, 2nd and 4.
Looks like there's a little bit more running room. You see the trap here, number 56 for Gallagher. That's Frank Chopsky traps the defensive tackle, and the rest is up to Don Johnson, who makes one player miss and picks up a 7-yard gain, setting up a 2nd and 3.
Johnson getting through the arms of Dan Curtin. Chapsky is joined on the offensive line by John Hamby, Maurice Latham at center, Glenn Young, and Jeff Seaton. On 2nd down and 4, 41-yard line of St. Francis, Bishop Gallagher with the ball. Handoff with Son Tate. Breaks outside and gets a first down to the 35-yard line. It's a gain of 6.
Well, Gallagher's come out here in the second half and is really controlling the line of scrimmage. They're getting some holes. The first half, Wasan Tate and Don Johnson were pretty much picking up the yards by themselves. This time, they're getting through the first 3-4 yards without actually being touched and getting into the secondary. If they keep doing that with that type of ability, they're due to Poplin.
Jeremy Priest, Ryan Farage, Chris Beeler, Mac Van Strat, and Mark Bramer, the front wall for Traverse City. St. Francis linebackers Dan Curtin, Greg Spranger in the middle, and Brian Gartland. Defensive backs Scott Doriot, Paul Gauthier, and Ryan Brady. On 1st and 10 from the 35, it is Wasan Tate. Tate cuts back inside. Nice couple of moves there. Get maybe 6 yards just inside the 30. Good moves by Tate.
Gauthier makes another nice play coming up, filling from the strong safety position. Tate, nice 5-yard run. They're really, once again, he came through the line, Gary. I know we have a chance for a replay here, but it doesn't look like it. When he came through the line, he wasn't even touched until about 3 or 4 yards down the field.
That is a sign of very good blocking.
Yes.
Maurice Latham will center it to Rock Batten. And Batten is back to throw. Will run with it instead. Batten close to a first down. Tackled from the shoestrings by Dan Curtin. But not before he'll gain enough to maybe call for a measurement. No, it's going to be just inside the 26-yard line. 3rd down and less than a yard.
That was just a straight drop-back pass. He was kind of forced a little bit of pressure from Bramer on the strong side. Forced him out of the pocket, and he tucked and decided to run. And I got a feeling that when Rock is back there, Raheem, they call him the Rock, I got a feeling he kind of looks to run pretty quick. With his type of running ability, why not?
Raheem Batten has thrown 1 pass today for 9 yards. It's been all ground game for the Lancers. 3rd down and less than a yard. Batten will keep it. Goes around end, first down, out of bounds around the 20-yard line. Raheem Batten took no chances and ran for the first down.
That play, I think, Coach Sahady took right out of Traverse City's playbook at halftime. He just fakes Wasan Tate going strong side. The quarterback keeps it, pulls it, and just runs a little bootleg, picks up 6 yards and first down.
Ryan Brady among those who knocked him out of bounds. It'll be 1st and 10 at the 14-yard line for the Lancers. A very good drive for Bishop Gallagher to start this third quarter after really forcing St. Francis to go 1-2-3 kick. Pro set formation with 2 wideouts. Handoff, Don Johnson. Quick up the middle. Has an opening. Touchdown. 14 yards. Don Johnson. And it's now 13-6 for Bishop Gallagher.
Well, this is just a simple trap play that they've been running all day. Number 56, that's Chomsky, pulls. He traps. Johnson follows his block up inside here, makes a nice cut, shows his speed, accelerates. Good downfield block by James Story. Pops him for the rest of the distance. He goes in for a 19-yard touchdown.
So the first drive of the third quarter, very successful for Bishop Gallagher. 57-yard drive in 7 plays, took 3 minutes off the clock. And a very strong extra point from Pat Shue. 6:16 to go, third quarter. Bishop Gallagher 14, Traverse City St. Francis 6. And one of your network sponsors of this Class C championship game is True Value Hardware. St. Francis 14-6. On the 14-yard run by Don Johnson. All right, if you're the other side, Rob Rubick, and you're Coach Larry Sellers of St. Francis, what do you want out of this next drive?
I'd like to have a score ultimately, but even if you can put a couple first downs together, get field position, and that'll allow your defense to make a stop, and that'll help you get things set up. What a kick.
Raheem Batten puts it into the end zone. A 65-yard boot in the air for Batten. No wonder they have him do the kickoffs. He's a very strong-legged man.
There's not many things that can shut me up, Gary, but that was one of them, a 65-yard kickoff in high school.
We had a kicker at Bishop Borges when I was there that had a kick that could kick the same way. He went to Michigan State. His name was Tom Burney. Also played a little bit for the Green Bay Packers.
How come he didn't go to Grand Valley?
Well,
you made a mistake, right?
I suppose. First and 10. Denny Stoles wanted him, that's why. First and 10 at the 20-yard line for St. Francis. They have the football, but they're down 14-6. On the straight T formation, the handoff goes to Bramer, and Mark Bramer finds the going very tough and very rough. Loss of about 3 to the 17. Second down and 13.
This is just a great defensive stand. They take on the fullback, the first blocker, then they fill from the outside, and there's just nowhere to go. Bramer showing some good intensity and good effort, but when there's 3 or 4 white shirts right in your face, there's not much you can do.
Derek Kelly made the first hit to force Bramer back, and then some of his teammates helped with the securement of the tackle. 5:40 to go, third quarter, 14-6. Harper Woods Bishop Gallagher with the lead, and St. Francis of Traverse City with the football. Straight T formation. Scott Dorian calling signals. Handoff goes to the second back through. That is Gauthier, and Gauthier bulls his way off of left guard to the 25-yard line.
This is, you can see the guard pulling here. He's trapping, and it's a double fake. It's what you call like a double counter back. And Gauthier picks up about 7 or 8 yards. It's a good play. I think right now Traverse City, if they're just trying to line up and pound it at Gallagher, they're not going to be successful because Gallagher is starting to control the line a little bit. They're going to need more misdirection and counter-type plays to be successful.
Ivan Bennett with the tackle. It'll be third down and 5 after the 7-yard run. The pitchback goes to Gauthier around right end. Penalty marker is down, thrown in the direction of a St. Francis blocker. And Gauthier went down at the 28, a 3-yard gain, but it might be called back. Our referee will make the call, and it's a hold.
Well, St. Francis had a little bit of success running this quick pitch early in the game, but Gallagher seems to be onto it now, and they're not having very much success now. And you see the holding, it's declined. They'll set up a 4th down and 5, excuse me, and force Traverse City to punt, and Gallagher gets it back.
So Scott Dorian, who's been punting very well, he is averaging 43 yards a boot. First one was deep, 51 yards. Second one high, forcing Wasan Tate, who averages 24.5 yards a punt return, the fair catch. So on 4th down and about a long 2, Dorian. Not much pressure, another high kick, but it's very short. And it gets a Gallagher bounce, and it'll be down at the 47-yard line of St. Francis. Not a very good punt, about 20 yards, and it'll set up shop for Gallagher. 1st and 10 at the 47 of St. Francis with 4:26 to go in the third. Is drug testing the best method for educating young people about the dangers of substance abuse? Only a comprehensive educational program can deliver the proper message to everyone in the school community. Support the drug education programs in your local school. 1st and 10, 47-yard line of St. Francis. Bishop Gallagher with the ball in the 14-6 lead. Hand off to Wasan Tate. One of the few times today the senior tailback was restrained, and the Traverse City St. Francis followers below our broadcast position appreciate that fact. Gain of 2.
Jeremy Priest with some help from Dan Curtin was in on that play, and it stopped for a 2-yard gain. And right now, that's a plus. I mean, Gallagher's been taking off plays in big chunks, big yardage right now, and Traverse City has to stiffen up here.
Story to the right, Anthony Sahady to the left. Pro set formation, handoff Don Johnson. I thought he might have beaten the count a little bit, but he's very quick off the snap and gains maybe 2 yards for his speed. It'll be 3rd down and 6 from the 43-yard line.
3rd and 6 situation for Coach Sahady. I think he's going to try to get Raheem Batten wide on some type of boot where he has a run-pass option.
3rd down and 6. I formation. Story right, Sahady left. Back to throw, Batten. Throws over the middle to nobody. He was trying to go to Anthony Sahady, but he overthrew him very high. 4th down, and it looks as if Pat Shue will have to come in for the second punt of the evening for him, I believe. It'll be his 3rd punt, says Joe Abramson.
A good defensive call by the Gladiators. They blitzed. They brought their inside backers as well as the outside and put pressure and forced Raheem Bennett to throw maybe a little bit quicker than he would have liked to. And the coverage was pretty good. They tried running a post to Sahady.
Pat Shue will punt to Bramer and Gauthier. A lofty snap, but Shue gets a good kickoff. Bramer at his own 6. Runs right. It is down at the 14-yard line. Making the hit for Bishop Gallagher is Glenn Young. Nice 8-yard return. 1st and 10. Traverse City St. Francis on its own 14-yard line. 2:43 to go, 3rd quarter. 14-6. Harperwood's Bishop Gallagher with the lead, thanks to a 45-yard run by Wasan Tate and a 14-yard run by Don Johnson. Scott Doria's 3-yard touchdown pass to Paul Gauthier gave St. Francis a short-lived 6-0 lead. Straight T formation for the Gladiators, 1st and 10. Dorian hands to the second back. That's Gauthier. Cuts back inside, has a little bit of a hole, and gets to the 21-yard line. A gain of about 7, 2nd and 3. Give Gauthier credit for a nice inside cut move to get around Glenn Young.
Yeah, Glenn Young was right here in his face. Doesn't break down quick enough. Gauthier cuts it back inside for a 6-yard gain for Titus Love could pull him down. But this is a very important. They need to get the field position back, Gary. They've been pent up inside their 15-yard the last 3 times that they've got the ball. They need to get some first downs.
Titus Dove has played a strong game at left linebacker for Bishop Gallagher. He made the tackle. It'll be 2nd down and about 3. Handoff to Gauthier up the middle. Has an opening. 1st down. Story brings him down to the 31. It's a gain of 10.
You get a replay here. You're going to see a nice trap block by Greg Spranger. As you see him pulling from his right guard position, as he kicks out at number 81, Ivan Bonette, and some nice running by Gauthier, and it picks up about 10, 11 yards, and now they're out to the 31-yard line, Gary. They got a little breathing room. Now you can come at him with some play-action pass if you'd like to.
89 seconds left, 3rd quarter. 14-6 Bishop Gallagher, but Traverse City St. Francis has the ball 1st and 10 at their own 31-yard line, and Gauthier gets the call for the 3rd straight time. And once again, he goes off of left guard and gets it to the 37-yard line.
When we were talking between games, Gary, I was trying to teach you how to read the center and the 2 guards. And if this play, you watch the right guard will take you to the ball. He's trapping. All the rest of the motion's going the other way. But for you to watch the guard, he took you right to where the ball was coming. You knew it was going to be a little inside counter trap.
Rob, we got to get you one of those electronic chalkboards to really illustrate, because you can get a good read of how play goes by looking at the center and the 2 guards.
I have a hard enough speaking. I don't have to be trying to draw up here, too.
2nd down and about 3 from the 38-yard line. Handoff goes to Bramer. Spins off 1 tackler, and Mark Bramer gets to about the 40. It'll be 3rd down and about a yard with a half minute to go in the 3rd quarter.
Well, any of you football fans out there, if the name Mark Bramer from Traverse City rings some bells, that's because there's a great tight end. Mark Bramer played at Michigan State, played at Traverse City High, but we checked with the coaches. They're not related. This Mark Bramer is a 1-emmer. The Mark Bramer from Michigan State was a double-emmer.
about a yard. Throw set formation with a slot back to the right. And off goes to the front man, Dan Curtin. And he bowls his way for a first down on the last play of the third quarter to the 43-yard line. Through 3 quarters, Bishop Gallagher leads 14-6, but Traverse City St. Francis is on the move. This is the MHSAA on pass. Stick the 4 fingers up saying that the fourth quarter is theirs. And the way St. Francis ended the third, it's not a bad supposition to have. The Gladiators look very sharp as they ended the third quarter. They'll have it 1st and 10 at their own 43-yard line, down by 8. Scott Doriot will run the blue-clad Gladiator offense against the white-shirted Lancers of Bishop Gallagher. And they'll start with a high formation. Gauthier in a slot right and 2 tight ends. Pitch back. Goes to Mark Bramer. Gets around 3 tacklers. Cuts and reverses the field. Gets a block from his quarterback. Cuts back inside the 50. That is called making something out of nothing, Rob Rubick.
I'll tell you what, anyone who comes to the Silverdome, they've seen that before. Barry Sanders does this for a living. But you don't expect it from a high school player like Mark Bramer. He tries to spring it outside, but he can't. There's no room to go as number 88, that's Carl Roseborough, was there. So he reverses his field. He comes all the way back around. The quarterback, Doriot, picks up a nice block. And he's got to be pretty winded because he's got about 70 yards by now for a 10-yard gain. But it's a big play.
Demetrius Jackson finally corrals him after the 10-yard run. 1st and 10. 47-yard line of Bishop Gallagher. The Gladiators of St. Francis, as the ball penalty marker flies, as Dan Curtin runs up the middle to about the 44, to the 43-yard line, a gain of 4. It looks as if this one may be coming back. And can penalties just eat the momentum away from the drive, let alone the yards? And our referee, Thomas Reynolds, calls the illegal procedure. The first penalty of the game against the Gladiators couldn't have come at a worse time. So it'll be 1st and 15 back at the 48-yard line of St. Francis.
That just shows you that they're an extremely well-coached team. When you can make it almost a minute into the fourth quarter before receiving your first penalty. And it also shows why these officials are here. These are the best officials we have in the state of Michigan, and you hardly notice they're here. You watch the game, and you see the kids. You don't see the officials, and that's important to me, and I'm sure most of the people who enjoy high school football.
Now, St. Francis has got 2 wideouts way out to the right and only 1 man in the backfield. That 1 man gets it. That's Paul Gauthier. Cuts inside left guard and runs it to midfield. Gain of about 3 on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 13 from midfield.
They try to spread things out to the right, and it's the play I popped earlier for about an 8-10-yard gain with Gauthier. They pull the right guard, Spranger, but that time Gallagher, the inside linebacker, stayed home. There was nothing there. It's going to set up a 2nd and 12 to 13. Could be a passing situation here, Gary.
Good look at Carl Roseborough, 88 for Bishop Gallagher. He had a block punt in the regional semifinal win over Ubley. They like to block punts. In fact, that block punt by Roseborough resulted in a touchdown by Ivan Bennett. On 2nd down and 13 from midfield. Back to throw goes Dorian. Has some time. Lofts one up for Bramer, who's got it. That is out of bounds. First down at the 30. A 20-yard gain.
Let's get a look here. This is, you see Curtin, and that's Gauthier protecting against Young. Gives Doriot time, a well-thrown ball. Bramer just runs a little corner pattern out of the backfield. And the coverage by James Story wasn't that bad, but it was a well-thrown ball. Another well-executed play by Traverse City. Hey, starting out 1st and 15. They pick up the first down. Now they're on the 30 heading in.
Scott Doriot is 2 for 2 through the air for 23 yards. It has been a game of ground game. If it wasn't an AstroTurf, it would be 3 yards to the clotted us type of football. On 1st and 10 from the 30. Handoff goes to Dan Curtin. And Curtin pulls his way 3 yards to the 27. 2nd down and 7. Making the hit for Bishop Gallagher is Ivan Bennett. And unlike some other teams which use hand signals or messengers, quarterback Scott Doriot runs 3/4 of the way towards the bench to get the call from Larry Sellers, then he'll make the decision.
Well, it's safer that way. A lot of those kids like to call their own play when they're bringing it in. This way you're assured the one you want in is the one that gets in.
Full house backfield. This is a straight tee. 2 tight ends. Hand off to the second man through. It's a fumble, but Chris Beeler, who didn't get a good handle on the ball, was fortunate to have the ball bounce back into his own hands, and he gets it inside the 26 to just outside the 25-yard line. A gain of 2, third and a long 5.
They're in 4-down territory. Traverse City St. Francis right now is looking at 3rd and 5, but they do have 2 downs to pick it up. So what they're going to do here, I believe Coach Sellers can try to pick up, 2 to 3 of it and set up a 4th and short. I'm sure he'd like to get all of it, but the way Gallagher's biting down, it's going to be difficult.
Again, a straight T formation with 2 tight ends. 3rd down. And Doriot had a little problem with the handoff, and I don't know if he slipped or had to recover a loose ball or what, but he does get back to the line of scrimmage. He may have lost a yard. In fact, he did.
I think it's the same thing that happened earlier in the game when he runs the belly to the fullback coming through. He kept it in a little bit too long, and he lost exchange when he was trying to pull it out.
We'll give it a loss of 2 to the 27. 4th down and 7 from the 27. And the first time out for either side will be charged to St. Francis. Big play coming up. 4th down and 7. It's 14-6 Bishop Gallagher over Traverse City St. Francis in the 4th quarter. And one of your network sponsors is Health Alliance Plan. Their offense all huddled around Larry Sellers, the coach. Now they have their instructions. A big play coming up for that team's favorite team.
Bad hair day.
Yeah. As the Gladiators have it 4th and 7 at the 27 of Bishop Gallagher. They're trailing 14-6 to the opponents from Harper Woods. High formation with a slot left. Pitch back goes to Gauthier. He wants to throw the halfback option pass, throws it short, but he's got a touchdown anyway! Kevin Endress, 27-yard touchdown. It's 14-12.
See here, it's a halfback pass. Gauthier drops back. It looks like it's going to be underthrown. But Endries does a nice job. He kind of slows down, which keeps Wasson Tate on his back. And at the last minute, accelerates, makes the play. What a huge play for Traverse City. Now they trail by a point, or excuse me, they trail by 2 points. So this is a big 2-point conversion coming up.
Coach Larry Sellers said about the 5'10", 155-pound junior Kevin Endres, he runs very good routes and has good hands. And what a time for his first touchdown of the 1992 season. Scott Doriot doesn't know, they aren't so certain about what they're going to do on the 2-point play, and Larry Sellers wants a timeout. St. Francis spends its second with 8:18 to go in regulation. One of the programs sponsored by the Michigan High School Athletic Association, which truly underscores the value of educational athletics, is the Scholar Athlete Award, sponsored by Farm Bureau Insurance. Over 1,700 applications were received this year for the 23 $1,000 college scholarships which will be presented. Applications for this year's awards are closed, with the scholarship recipients to be honored at the boys basketball finals, the Palace of Auburn Hills in March. Students interested in applying for the Scholar Athlete Award for 1993-94 should contact their high school principal. A message from our friends at the Michigan High School Athletic Association. 2-point conversion time, almost a must play. And Joey Abramson points out, wisely so, that both of the St. Francis touchdowns, the 3-yard pass from Scott Doria to Paul Gauthier, and then Gauthier's 27-yard halfback option pass to Kevin Endress, came with the down box having the number 4 on it. Clutch plays, if you ever want to call them. 14-12, Bishop Gallagher. And leading by 2, but we could see a tie if St. Francis can convert on the 2-point try. Scott Dorian in the offense comes out. The timeout is over. Now they have, instead of Dorian quarterbacking, he will hold for Greg Vaughn. 12 plays, 86 yards, 6 minutes and 5 seconds. Another long drive. They'll fake it. Gauthier wants to throw again. He does it. Curtin catches the 2-point halfback option pass from Paul Gauthier. We're tied at 14.
Oh, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. They line up to show the field goal, or the extra point, excuse me. We're looking at the replay. Dorian's the holder for the kick. The snap, they fake the kick. He tosses it back on the end around to Gauthier, who hits a wide open James Curtin in the end zone for the 2-point conversion. A well-designed, well-disguised, very timely play for Traverse City.
But there's plenty of time on the clock for both teams. But keep in mind, St. Francis had to burn 2 of its timeouts on the drive. Well worth it, but should Gallagher's put some points on the board, they may want to have those timeouts back.
Well, we'd always like to have them back. The point is, in that situation, you have to take them, because if you don't take them then and you don't score, it doesn't matter if you go home with 3 in your pocket.
Right. You're taking a look at backup quarterback Noel Copeland trying to get the St. Francis crowd juiced up. Handling the kickoff chores will be Greg Vaughn, 6', 210 sophomore. He's only a sophomore. They're expecting great things from him in the next 2 years. Brandon White was the man who helped tee up the ball. Back deep, Derek Kelly and Wasan Tate. Line drive kickoff. Tate at his own 10. Wasan Tate to the 20. And gets to about the 25-yard line before he's hit and knocked down.
Endries, the man who caught the touchdown, was down there. And that's an excited young man right now. He's made 2 key plays in a row. Gallagher's going to have to start out on their own 25-yard line.
With 8:12 to go in regulation, take a look at Kevin Endres, who caught what proved to be game-tying touchdown pass after the 2-point conversion. Now, Raheem Batten and the Gallagher Lancer offense goes to work at its own 25. I formation. Anthony Sahadi right. James Story to the left. Handoff for Wasan Tate off of right tackle. Cuts back inside. He's an open field. Wasan Tate at midfield. He gets a block, but he's going to be hauled down from behind. But he brings the ball to the 32-yard line of St. Francis. Oh, what a run by Wasan Tate of 43 yards.
This is just a wide isolation for the second back through. This is just nothing but athleticism right here. Wasan Tate showing excellent acceleration. A nice cutback here. He picks up kind of a block from Sahidi. And just if it wasn't for a great effort and good speed by Mark Bramer coming back after he had missed him once, you look at a touchdown.
Ryan Brady was the man that slowed up Wasan Tate. 138 yards on 11 carries unofficially. Don Johnson has the ball, cuts around 2 tacklers and gets to the 30. Gain of 2, 2nd and 8.
You had a feeling they'd come back and give the ball to Johnson. I got to believe Wasan Tate is sucking air a little bit after that long run, and they just went a little quick hitter inside, but Traverse City stayed home and did a nice job. I should say Traverse City, St. Francis. I hope the people and St. Francis who have stayed homeless and aren't upset with me, but it's just a little bit shorter and easier to say.
2nd down. Jason Godfrey, a senior wideout, is to the left. To the right is Anthony Sahadi. Handoff to Wasan Tate off of left tackle. Nothing there. First hit for St. Francis by Ryan Farage. Securing the tackle, Mark Bramer. A gain of 3. We'll see. No, a gain of 2 to the 28. 3rd down and 5. 3rd down and 6. Can't do my addition right now. 6.5 to go in regulation.
Well, I called for it before. If I'm Coach Sahadi, I like to right now try to get Raheem Batten outside with some type of pass-run option. If you drop him straight back, he's pretty much limited with his ability. You got to get him in the open field.
James Story to the left, Sahadi to the right, and it's a bootleg right by Batten. Batten gets around Story, and a penalty marker flies as Batten goes out of bounds inside the 20. It was thrown in the direction of Anthony Sahadi, and it might be a hold. We'll see. A personal foul, a clip. Oh, major penalty at the wrong time for Gallagher. A clip.
That's a big setback. Now, instead of really a first down, I believe he picked it up. You're looking at a 3rd and 20. It's a very untimely penalty. Not that any of them are timely. Always amaze me, untimely penalties. Which ones are good? But, but right now you're looking at a 3rd and 20 or 18. And I tell you what, I don't like to call these plays. I leave these to the other coaches to call.
3rd and 17, technically at the 39-yard line, as they'll give Banton a 3-yard run. The penalty on Saidi at the 24. It'll be 3rd down and 17. Back to throw goes Banton under some pressure. Gets away from 2 tacklers, but he can't get away from Dan Curtin. And he's down at the 46. It's a loss of 7.
Well, I'll tell you what, Traverse City's defense today is bent, but that time they wouldn't break. They were looking at a 36 and the clip, which was very helpful to them. But and then on the 3rd down play, a good defensive effort by Dan Curtin forces Gallagher to punt. Traverse City's going to get the ball back inside their 20 once again. They've been pent up, but they still have 5 minutes to move the ball down the field.
Pat Shue will punt. No pressure, high boot. Taken there by Gauthier. He hands it off to Bramer. Bramer cuts back inside, goes past the 20, and then is swarmed over at the 22-yard line. 5:16 to go in regulation. The Gladiators will have the football in a 14-14 tie. Our special thanks go out during today's broadcast to the people behind the scenes who make it all possible. We would especially like to thank Tarleton Small and Jim Lilly of the Pontiac Public Schools, the host institution, who have done an excellent job organizing this year's finals, and all their assistants who have put in long hours to make it all possible. Rob Rubik and I would also like to extend our thanks to our statistician and spotter, Joey Abramson, along with head coach Larry Sellers and the Traverse City St. Francis Gladiators, and head coach George Saidi and the Bishop Gallagher Lancers. 1st and 10, 22-yard line of St. Francis. Gladiators with the ball in a 14-all tie. T formation, handoff goes to Bramer, around right end, gets past the 25 to the 27. It's a gain of 5 and 2nd down and 5.
They come out of the full house backfield. They take the halfback to the strong side. He leads outside and seals, or tries to hook the end. He ends up kicking him out, and Bramer turns it up. A nice play by Young. Stops it for about a 4 to 5 yard gain. That's been a pretty successful play for him today, Gary. That little outside ISO.
2nd down and 5 from the 27. You saw the clock a moment ago. Now, one back in the backfield with a slot right, with a double slot action on left and right side. The one back gets it. That's Bramer. Stays on his feet and gets close to a 1st down. I should say that was Dan Curtin, 42, who carried the ball.
Yeah, Dan Curtin's the only back. You see Spranger pulling on the trap, and Curtin does a nice job staying in the hole, following his block. A good job coming up and making the tackle by Derek Kelly, but it picks up about 4 to 5. It's going to make up a 3rd short and a huge play in this game.
We'll see if it is the 3rd and 5 as we stretch the chains out. Folks.
Oh, I was wrong again.
1st down. 1st down. 3:57 to go in regulation. We're tied at 14. Not too often do we go into overtime, and St. Francis would like to prevent that, or like to prevent that with a score. Gallagher would like to prevent it by stopping them and maybe scoring themselves. 1st and 10, 32-yard line. T formation. Back, handoff goes to the 2nd back through. That is Gauthier. And Paul Gauthier pulls his way to the 36. Making the hit for Gallagher is nose guard Jeff Seaton, 6'1", 230-pound junior.
Along with number 44, Titus Dove. And I tell you what, boy, he was... he's Gauthier and Curtin and all the boys in the backfield for Traverse City can remember being hit by him today, because Mr. Dove has put on some licks.
2nd down and 6. Well, we'll call it 2nd down and 7 at the 36-yard line. Again, a full house backfield. Doriot keeps it and fooled nobody who's trying to run around left end.
Tremendous play made by number 88, Carl Roseborough, on that one. He stays home. He does the assignment perfect. First, he doesn't get sucked into the dive. He stays home. He fights off the blocker, and he makes the solo tackle, and that's just a big play because if he doesn't get it, Doriot's still running.
Third down, long 5 at the 37-yard line. And Scott Doriot, 8 carries for 7 yards. But in amateur football, sacks count against him. He's had a 10-yard sack against him. Doriot back to throw on third down and 7. Has some pressure from Roseboro. Lost it up. Into double coverage. Incomplete. He was trying to go to Gauthier. Don Johnson and Wasan Tate were providing the double coverage.
That was just a nice defensive play. The throw was actually better than I thought. I thought when he let it go, it might possibly be intercepted by either Don Johnson or Demetrius Jackson back there, but it really carried well. He throws the ball well, Doriot does on the run, and Gauthier actually had a chance to make the catch, but it was just, it was just a well-executed play by the defense and the offense, and he wasn't able to quite pull it down.
Scott Doriot averaging almost 33 yards a punt. Will be back deep to punt with 2:12 to go. High kick, not deep. Wasan Tate will let it bounce. Gets a roll. Goes around 2 defenders. Tate will have to launch it, run down the field to the 10-yard line. What a roll for Scott Doriot on the punt. 53 yards for Doriot on that boot. First and 10 at the 11 for Bishop Gallagher with 1:56 remaining in regulation.
This is a make or break series for Gallagher. They still have all 3 of their timeouts remaining. Traverse City St. Francis has 1. Now let's see if Coach Zahedi is going to play for the tie, and try to get into overtime and line up on the 10, or if he's going to try to win the game in regulation.
Pro set formation for Gallagher. Batten hands it off to Tate. Tries to bounce off a blocker, but he couldn't bounce. Gets to the 13. Gain of 2, 2nd and 8. Gumming up that play very effectively for Gallagher. For St. Francis was Greg Spranger.
They did a nice job stuffing Chopsky Pope in the right guard position.
Look at Spranger. Spranger had to fight off the block of Glenn Young, and he tackled both Young and the ball carrier.
When in doubt, take them both out.
That's a very strong play. Batten on the quarterback keeper. Tried to break open, but he pulls his way to the 20. It'll be third down and less than a yard. Under a minute to go in regulation.
It kind of looks like right now both coaches are conceding to the overtime. With only 46 seconds, nobody's in a hurry to stop the clock. I personally haven't seen a high school game yet that's been in overtime, so I'm looking forward to seeing it. They line up on the 10 and play wham.
We'll let you explain it then, Rob, how the rules go here. Third down. Wasan Tate gets around 2 tackles, gets a first down, stops the clock with 28 seconds to go. And a timeout will now be called by Gallagher. At the 27-yard line is a gain of 7. Gain of 8, I should say. And you take a look at Wasan Tate. 14 carries, 149 yards for number 22. Playing his last game. He's already run for a touchdown. 5 touchdowns in the postseason, 22 on the year.
I believe Wasan Tate, you said it's his last game. Maybe his last game at Bishop Gallagher. But I think he may be playing somewhere next fall. I'm not sure whether it be the MIAA, the Great Lakes, or the MAC, but he will be playing somewhere.
St. Francis defense needing a little bit of a cool down. If you just joined us, this is the Class C championship game along with Rob Brubeck, the former Lion and Grand Valley State star. I'm Gary Ransky. Scott Doriot passed to Paul Gauthier for a 3-yard touchdown early on, 6-0. for St. Francis. Wasan Date got that back on a touchdown run of 45 yards. Conversion was good, 7-6 Gallagher. Don Johnson early in the third, 14-yard run, 14-6 Gallagher. And then Paul Gauthier, halfback option pass to Kevin Endres, 27 yards, and a 2-point option pass from Gauthier to Dan Curtin. We're tied at 14. That's a great scoring rundown. 1st and 10 for Gallagher. Bishop Gallagher of Harper Woods leading, has the ball at their own 27-yard line. Throw set formation, and Batten is back to throw for the 3rd time today. Throws toward the sidelines, complete to Anthony Sahady, and he gets it out of bounds at the 34-yard line. Sahady is their possession receiver, and it's out of bounds to 34, 22 seconds left in regulation.
I don't know if you realize what a difficult throw this is. 2 men in his face, and he throws a frozen rope to the outside. Sahady does a nice job catching the ball and getting his foot in bounds, and stops the clock, brings up a 2nd and 2. But I tell you what, that ball was well thrown by Raheem Batten.
15th reception of the season for the son of head coach and athletic director George Sahady. And Anthony Sahady will line up far to the right, far to the left, James Story. I formation. Johnson close and Tate deep. Raheem Batten for Gallagher, barking out signals. And back to throw. Wants to set up a screen to Tate. Tate has it. At the 30, 35. Eater's in open field. He does get out of bounds, but not before he gets a 1st down at the 45-yard line.
This was a screen they were trying to set up to get Wasan Tate in the open. And Dan Curtin, if we're going to look here, it's pretty well designed. Traverse City was also blitzing, which helps. But Curtin is out here on an island right now. He sees Wasan Tate. He's coming into the picture here. He fights off one block, and he fights off a block from number 56, Frank Chotsky. I was watching Curtin the entire play. He fought off 2 blockers and forced Wasan Tate out of bounds. That's a huge play because he did not have a lot of help behind him.
Bishop Gallagher has not tried a field goal yet this season. Pat Shue is their placement kicker. Raheem Batten handles the kickoff, has a very strong leg. 13 seconds to go in regulation. Ball at the 45 of Gallagher. Hand off to Don Johnson. Johnson in the open field. Gets a 1st down, but is down at the 43-yard line. 6 seconds left. And Wasan Tate will quickly call time. The 2nd timeout by Gallagher here in the 2nd half with 6 seconds remaining. Time for probably one more play.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have time to set up. Here it is. It's just a little quick hitter inside. They know Traverse City St. Francis is playing back for the pass. And anytime you can get Don Johnson in the open field with the ball, you have a chance to score. If it wasn't for a great open field tackle, was that Gauthier? If it wasn't for a great open field tackle by Gauthier, they may be in field goal range now.
Don Johnson has carried 7 times for 62 yards and a 14-yard touchdown run. You saw George Sahady, the head coach of the Lancers, giving final instructions to Raheem Batten. The St. Francis supporters on the west end here at the Silverdome, hopeful that their team can make one more defensive stop to force an overtime. 6 seconds left, 14-14 tie in the state Class C championship game.
Well, I don't think they're going to have time here, Gary, to run a play. Even if they get out of bounds, if it's over 10 yards, it's going to take too long to develop. They may just try to run about a 5-yard out or something. I don't know what kind of leg their kicker has, but that would be quite a kick.
I formation, 2 wideouts to the right, and back to throw goes Batten. Rolls out to his right. This will end the half. Batten throws it deep down the middle, nobody there. Sahady was the intended receiver. He cut toward the sidelines. The ball was thrown toward the middle, and we have overtime. We'll tell you about what will happen in the extra stanza in a moment. This is the MHSAA on pass. In the Hills, Harrison Hawks defeated Dearborn Forts in 17-14 in the Class A championship. And in 1978, Dennis Bozens, Warren Woods, Tower Titans defeated Grand Rapids Catholic Central 13-12. The third one is today, and Rob Bruick, who coaches with Lapeer East, you can tell us what the overtime is all about.
Well, they're going to both take the ball and start on the 10-yard line alternately. Now they have 4 downs to score. Now they can do that by way of a field goal or a touchdown and an extra point and go for 2 points. If they get 3rd down or 4th down, they're on the 5-yard line, then they may want to think about kicking a field goal. Because you have the opportunity to kick a field goal in this situation. It's the same situation if you were in the game and you're getting down first and 10, first and goal on the 9-yard line, basically.
Now the defense, if they make an interception or a long fumble recovery, can also score running the other way.
I believe that's true. We're looking at our spotter and our statistician here. He's shaking his head. I don't know. But
Joey
I
Abramson.
believe that you can.
You're taking a look at the St. Francis coach, Larry Francis. We were saying thanks to some people a little bit earlier. We really got to thank the people at September Moon Productions, the people who helped produce this package and this game here, for giving us outstanding shots of the players, the crowd, and excellent replay work. Gentlemen, back in the studio and on the cameras, good work, all of you. I know the excitement we may forget, but while we have a chance, let's thank you for good work, for a job well done. So now both teams' captains will come out to the middle of the field to determine who's going to get the ball first. Now, whoever has most points after the first round wins. If we're tied, we go to a second round of overtime, and so forth.
We're checking around up in the booth here. No one seems to know that if you intercept the pass in overtime, if you can run it back. I'm new to the coaching profession in the high school level, and I'm not sure.
I think you can. I think you can.
No, we have
they're
our producer over here, co-producer, is shaking his head no.
No. Would make it more exciting.
But he's a producer, so what does he know?
Would make it more exciting, though. But now the referee, Thomas Reynolds of Marshall, goes through the coin flip. A little bit of discussion. St. Francis will get the first crack at the goal. And they will, I believe, want to play toward the north end zone.
I think they chose. No, they won, but they chose to defend
the north end zone,
which is the advantage in overtime.
Right.
Because that can dictate what you do. It was pointed out to me earlier that sometimes overtime games, if you stop the team in 4 downs without getting any points, some teams come out on first down and kick a field goal because they don't want to risk turning the ball over.
Bishop Gallagher and St. Francis, neither team, well, Bishop Gallagher has not tried a field goal this season. St. Francis's place kicker, Greg Vaughn, on the last play of the game in the snow against St. Ignace, booted a 33-yard field goal. He missed one in the semifinals against Coleman, but Vaughn is used to the pressure, only being a sophomore. So Lancers, the Gallagher Lancers, will have 4 cracks at the end zone from the 10 on first down. Raheem Batten and the Gallagher offense goes to work. Both teams will have 2 timeouts remaining. You get an extra one for the overtime. Wasan Tate cuts back inside the 5 to the 3. And what? Go ahead.
Well, I was going to point out that throughout the course of the game, on the side, we've been talking about that Gallagher should get the ball wide to let their backs utilize their speed and their ability. And that time they do, they run a little toss to Tate. He starts taking it wide and cuts up the field when the lane opens. He picks up 7 yards.
Julio Boza making the stop for St. Francis. Second down. 3 yards to the end zone. In overtime. Tate, end zone. Give him a 6-pointer. Wasan Tate from 3 yards out, breaks the tie, makes it 20-14. Bishop Gallagher with conversion coming.
Looks like they're going to kick it. They're bringing the kicker into the game. This isn't always an easy decision to make here. But if you can convert the kick, then not only does the other team have to score their touchdown, and you put the pressure on them to make theirs.
Pat Chewis now 32 out of 42 on extra points. 28 of 42 on extra points. The conversion is good. It is now 21-14 Gallagher. St. Francis has to score a touchdown and get at least a 1-point conversion to keep this game going. 2 points will win it. A 2-point conversion will win it.
Well, after following the Class A game earlier today, which was a tremendous game, which Muskegon Reeves Puffer came back and scored late on, I'm trying to think of who they were playing earlier.
They were playing
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Walled Lake Western.
Yes, and they came back with just a couple seconds left on a double reverse pass on a tip ball running for a touchdown. And we were wondering if we could outdo that game, Gary. We seem to be coming in a close second, if not ahead.
Okay. Full house backfield for St. Francis. They'd have to put the ball in the end zone on 4 plays. Handoff goes to Mark Bramer. Bramer gets nothing. Second. And goal from the 10.
Now what do you do? Do you come back with another run here? Or you can try to put the ball up on 2nd down and 10 and try to maybe some play action. Gallagher's strength of their defensive line really shows here. It was a nice play by number 56, Frank Chopsky.
Carl Roseborough got him by the feet for Gallagher. Now the timeouts come into play if you don't want to get a delay of game penalty. Each team has 2. Straight T formation. Handoff goes to Dan Curtin. Runs up the middle. Gain of 3. 3rd and goal at the 7.
Here it is. It's just a little trap again. They pull the right guard. Dan Curtin just hits it up, but it's filled well. Is that Titus Dove again?
Yep, it sure is. Timeout has been called by Traverse City St. Francis, and we'll take a break as well. Overtime, 21-14. Bishop Gallagher leads St. Francis, and one of your network sponsors is Farm Bureau Insurance. It was too short for James Story. Last play, 4th and goal from the 7. We are in overtime. St. Francis has to try to get a touchdown on 4 plays. The 4th play is coming up. And once again, St. Francis will call timeout, their last timeout they have in this overtime session. This first overtime session. We can play another round if they can score and get an extra point.
I think the play was there. That time Dorian, he rolled out to his right, and Gauthier came out of the backfield.
And he was open.
Yeah, and he just overthrew him, and that's really the first poorly thrown ball that Dorian's had today, because he's done a nice job delivering it. That time maybe there was a little bit of pressure, Young in his face, but he just overthrew a little bit, and now it sets up, well, it's do or die time for the Gladiators.
And they must score 6 to even have a chance at winning or tying. 21-14. Hassan Tate has run for 2 touchdowns, 1 in regulation of 45 yards, 1 in overtime of 3 yards. Don Johnson, the other score for Bishop Gallagher from 14 yards out. 2 touchdown passes been the scoring for St. Francis. Scott Dory to Paul Gauthier of 3 yards, and then Gauthier on the halfback option to Kevin Endres of 27 yards. Gauthier threw an halfback option 2-point pass to Dan Curtin to set up this overtime at 14 all. But now, the last play, perhaps, of the season in Class C. Let's see what Scott Doriot and the St. Francis Gladiators have up their sleeves. 4th and goal at the 7. St. Francis has to put the ball in the end zone. Full house backfield, strong eye. Back to throw goes Doriot. Doriot lost it up to a wide open receiver, Tim Thayer.
You gotta like it. They just did a little roll. He fakes the play action. He rolls a little bit to the right, and it's just a tight end dragging underneath. It's a throwback pass. It's caught by a wide open
Tim Thayer.
Okay. But it's just once again, is that the 3rd time on 4th down the Gladiators have scored today? They've had 3 4th down passes for touchdowns.
Conversion attempt coming. Doriot will hold. He can't fake. He's the quarterback. In for the conversions, Greg Vaughn. If he makes it, we go to a 2nd round of overtime. If he misses it, or they try it for 2 and don't get it, it's over. If they try for 2 and get it, it's over. High snap. Vaughn's kick is up. Vaughn's kick is true. 2nd overtime coming up. Through 1 overtime, our score, Bishop Gallagher 21, St. Francis 21, and one of your network sponsors is
about something. I'm not sure what it is. If he felt he must have seen slighted somehow, because he's having a few words with the official. I don't think it's about what's on their Christmas list. So he's not too happy right now, but they seem to have resolved it, and we're going to start again. And once again, our statistician has pointed out that he thinks they alternate now, and Traverse City will go first.
Or maybe it's an alternating decision time. I don't know. Could be. We got about less than a minute to go before this extra stanza. George Sahady is going to have another chat with referee Tommy Reynolds and the rest of his crew. They're telling St. Francis to go back to the bench. I think the officials are making sure the rule book is clear on this matter as well. You see George Sahady in his 20th year at the corner of Harper Avenue and Moross in Harper Woods. 23rd year overall.
I think we figured out what that Coach Sahady's upset about. I think he's arguing that now Traverse City should go first since they went first during the first overtime, that it's alternating. And the officials, I think, are getting a ruling on it. And we'll find out shortly. A lot of teams don't get into that second overtime. This is something that doesn't happen weekly in the fall in high school football, so it's something new for the officials maybe too.
Each team will have 4 cracks from the 10-yard line. Whoever has the most points at the end of the round wins the game, or if we are equal, we'll have another overtime round.
Well, if you think the parents of these kids and the fans are hating us right now, I'll probably tell you that in the Silverdome, who's hated the most are Marysville and Kingsford. They're waiting to play the next game, the B final at 8 o'clock, and they're going to be pushed back because of this the long-running game here.
Quickly coming onto the field for St. Francis is Brandon White with some final instructions from Max Van Straat. Full house backfield. First and goal from the 10. Handoff goes to Bramer. Bramer gets around 2 tackles, and had it not been for Titus Dove, it would have been 1 play and a touchdown. As it is, the gain of 6.
It's just power football. He has number 63 Spranger pulls along with the lead back, and just a nice effort by Bramer getting it down to the 4-yard line.
But did you see how Dove tackled him on his back, sticking the arm out and just tripping him up? That's Titus Dove right there, 44.
That's why Coach Sahady has him in there in the middle, because he makes plays.
Second and goal from the 4. 21-21 overtime tie. We're in the second overtime session. Full house backfield. This is Gauthier. Gauthier's in the end zone. Paul Gauthier from 4 yards out. 27-21 St. Francis with conversion coming.
I'm not sure Traverse City St. Francis is going to know what to do here. They scored too quick. They scored when it wasn't 4th down. Here it is. It's the same play they ran last time. Just power football. Dan Curtin leading through. And Gauthier just with some great effort. And Coach Sellers said before the game, he's not the fastest, he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, but there's few that are tougher. And he's been proving that the entire game today.
They will try for the single extra point. Doriot will hold for Greg Vaughn. The sophomore, who hasn't missed a kick yet today, in terms of extra point. He missed 1, I should say. The conversion attempt is good. 28-21. St. Francis with a 7-point lead. And now it is Bishop Gallagher's turn. And the 2 marker is down, though, at the 7.
Oh, this could be a big call. If it's what I think it is from where it was thrown by the bounce.
Thrown by the umpire, I thought.
Umpire, I'm sorry. It could be a holding call. That would be a big blow.
Personal foul. Clipping. Oh, my. Oh, my. They call the clip against Gallagher. They'll mark it from the spot of the foul, the 6th. And that will make it first and goal from the 21. Saw it cleanly. Mix up in the backfield as Johnson and Batten collide. Batten gets back maybe a yard. Second and goal from the 20. Here's the plus side of the situation, though, Rob Rubik. You have more of the field to work with.
Yeah, that's
timeout.
You're an optimist. That was the ball extremely well. He hasn't showcased that too much today. But I got a feeling if Gallagher's going to be successful here, he's going to have to show it.
Meanwhile, Larry Sellers talking to his team's defense. 3 more plays. 3 more plays. And that will do it if St. Francis can hold on. We are in the second overtime stanza with Bishop Gallagher having the football, having to go 20 yards to score a touchdown to possibly tie the game. They're down 28-21 in the second half of the second overtime round. Second and goal from the 20. Two wide out to the right. Handoff, Washington Tate. Tate gets tripped up. Give credit to Ryan Farage. Tate gets to the 16, maybe the 15. Third and goal. And George Sahady might want to take another timeout.
Boy, at one time it looked like this play was really going to go. You see Story coming in with a block, but number 53 for the Gladiators, Ryan Farage, comes in and just takes the legs out from Wasan Tate. A big play. You're 3rd and 15, Gary. This is a time where it's not a good thing to be a head coach at a high school football team. Because I hate to have to make this call, being the offensive coordinator.
Wide to the right is Anthony Sahady. To the left is James Story. I formation. Back to throw goes Patton. Has some time. Throws the end zone for Story. Incomplete. Knocked down by Scott Dorian. 4th and goal from the 15.
That was a great play by Dorian, but did you see that throw? What a tremendous arm that Raheem...
Chip at 4, and then it's 7:30. It's the Class B grid title game between Kingsford and Marysville. Bill Brandell and Mark Crawford with the call of that game. Stay with us tomorrow as the best high school championship sports coverage continues here on Pass. 4th and goal from the 16, just outside the 15-yard line. Bishop Gallagher has one crack left in the second overtime stanza. St. Francis, Traverse City St. Francis, already has a 28-21 lead. One play left. Can Rob Rubick, Bishop Gallagher pull off a fourth down play?
Any other Class C team in the state, I question, but with the athletes they have and the ability in their backfield, you never know where they can pop it.
Wasan Tate is wide out to the right. The two are going wide out to the left. Back to throw goes Patton. Has some pressure. Throws over the middle. Too far for Wasan Tate. Incomplete. And the Gladiators of Traverse City St. Francis are your Class C champions for 1992. In their second trip to the Silverdome, the Gladiators finally win the big prize for Larry Sellers. Congratulations are in order, Rob Rubick. Very briefly, your impressions of this game.
very hard because it sticks to the knife. But if you have some things of different textures in the food processor, it works. Now for these.